Clever tactics are one of those supremely satisfying things that pops up in any fiction involving combat, and today we'll be looking at what makes them work so well. We'll be examining some examples of the good and bad to pick out the common elements that make them interesting in the first place, as well as things to avoid. This will be focused on space battles since, well, this is Spacedock, but the lessons we'll learn are also applicable to other scenarios. Hello and welcome back to Spacedock. I'm Hujuana and I felt like bringing back this old intro for today's video, which we're kicking off with what I think is a bad clever tactic, the Marg Sable from Star Wars. This first appeared in the now Legends Thrawn novel Heir to the Empire, and later in canon in the Clone Wars animated TV show. The idea behind it is pretty simple. You rotate your big capital ship to conceal a launch bay from which your strike craft covertly launch from. When an opponent has gotten close, boom, the strike craft all zip out at once from behind your ship to overwhelm the enemy. And I really hate this move because it just wouldn't work against any mildly competent opponent. Like, fighters and stuff are the heart of space combat in the setting, so why would a ship that can launch them be sitting around not visibly doing that? Oh, it's also turning in a weird way and using the crazy third dimension? Better ignore that and just get closer and closer for no reason. At least Star Wars knows this has flaws, so only shows it working against gullible or unimaginative opponents like this regular old droid commander who is not the smartest. But then I think some newer books seem to use it more regularly or something, as if it's far more effective and smart than it actually is. Which is the theme of the next tactic, the Picard maneuver. This involves confusing an enemy's sensors by momentarily travelling faster than light directly towards them. As the ship overtakes the light from its starting position, it appears to be in two places at once, hopefully tricking the enemy into shooting at the wrong target. Don't get me wrong here, the actual mechanism behind how it works is genuinely really clever. It's a great way to exploit having superluminal travel in a setting, as well as the specifics behind how it works. This is also why that crazy in-atmosphere FTL jump in Battlestar Galactica works so well. Like, of course you can do that, it's just crazy to try it. My issue with the Picard maneuver is how it's presented as being uncounterable, at least until Data, the super-intelligent android, figures out a way to check if a ship had just done it. But then you think about what's going on for a second, and there's multiple ways to deal with a ship appearing to copy-paste itself. For example, just shooting both targets if you're unsure, or understanding that only the closer one can possibly be the ship's real location. But those both require knowing that this is possible to start with, which reveals the true strength behind this move: surprise. It's that moment of confusion that can be capitalized on, but if that's not there, then it doesn't work. Either way, definitely clever, but it's not the super genius, uncounterable thing the episode implies it is. While we're on Star Trek maneuvers, next up is the Riker maneuver. No, not this one, I mean when he hoovered up explosive space gas with the Enterprise and redeployed it against some enemies. The use of the joystick is underwhelming, but the improvisation using little-known ship features and stuff nearby to turn the tide against a superior force is fantastic. This actually calls back to the TV show where the Enterprise had to take on the powerful Borg cube which had the assimilated Captain Picard on it, giving them all the knowledge of Starfleet tactics. Riker there also showed his improvisational skills with the use of weird ship features to trick the Borg, allowing an away team to rescue Picard. And of course, Riker plays jazz too, which is all about improv. See, it also all ties back into character stuff. The annoying part, to me, is Geordie's comment about this move with the explosive gas being called the Riker maneuver. Yeah, fans semi-jokingly naming things like that is fine and fun, but in-universe, in the moment, it's annoying. That naming scheme worked well once. Everything after, like this Riker thing or Pike doing a slingshot, these do not need the same treatment with the same naming scheme, even as a joke. To me, that just makes it feel like an insecure callback rooted in nostalgia rather than a confident creation that stands on its own. If you're making something cool, don't then immediately undercut it. This trend of using what's available continues with the Keys loop from one of the Halo books. This was actually a whole risky battle plan that aimed to let a single human ship take on an entire Covenant battle group, and it pulled it off too, partly by using the enemy's own weapons against them. That is the clever bit here, since by itself the human ship is totally outgunned, but by causing the Covenant's torpedoes to friendly fire, it leveled the playing field. And this isn't the only time this tactic has popped up in fiction. Practically the same thing happens in the movie adaptation of The Hunt for Red October, which makes me think it actually inspired that part of the Keys loop. Galaxy Quest puts its own spin on this by using nearby magnetic mines against the bad guy's ship, and I'd also consider Luthen Rail turning the Imperial's tractor beam against them in Andor to be in this category. That gets a bonus too for it being done in a new, exciting and thematic way, where the Empire tightening their grip creates the conditions for their defeat. Related to this is using the enemy's behaviour against them rather than their own weapons. A simple example of this is from Stargate, where the Replicator's desire to collect new technology was used to lure them into a vulnerable state where they could easily be destroyed. Another situation with a lure is from Babylon 5 with the destruction of the Black Star, the only victory a human ship ever had over a Minbari one. This was achieved by placing nuclear mines on asteroids and sending out a distress signal to attract the Minbari's attention. Intent on destroying the damaged human ship, the supremely confident Black Star flew right past two of the mines, which blew up and destroyed it. What makes this one particularly satisfying is that the Black Star itself had previously sprung a trap on the human ships in the exact same spot, using its superior technology to overpower them. A bit of a different use of behaviour is an off-the-cuff moment rather than a plan in The Expanse, in a skirmish between the Pella and the Rocinante. Daniel from Spacedock has previously done a whole video breaking down this amazing chase sequence from Season 6, so go watch that for more detail. The gist of it is that the clever thing was noticing a flaw in how the enemy always moved the same direction to dodge an incoming shot, and subsequently exploiting that. A perfect, simple little moment that shows the difference between an experienced and observant trained soldier and a bunch of belters pretending to be that. So what are some common threads from these? A big one is the need for an underdog to find some advantage somewhere, typically one that's really situational. These can be using local features in an unprecedented way, or exploiting some quirk of the enemy, or even turning their weapons against them. This careful examination of what's going on to find something to leverage is what makes it actually feel clever, especially when what's happening is revealed to the audience in a satisfying manner. But going on to act like these improvised, one-off strategies that save the day have some broader application just feels weird to me. I already complained about the trend of these things being unimaginatively named after the Picard maneuver, but not everything even needs a super special name in the first place. Like the tactic from The Expanse was just a feint, and the Babylon 5 one was an ambush or a trap. I don't know, I guess I'm just unimpressed by milquetoast tactics having overly dramatic names to try to invoke a level of cleverness that just isn't present. Lastly, I'm reiterating a point from the intro, in that this doesn't just apply to space combat. Have a look at any of your favourite smart tactics moments and you'll see a lot of the things we've talked about today. You may even find yourself appreciating those clever fights even more. You can support Spacedock by joining our Patreon, where you can get our frigate, fighter and carrier design reference books, as well as 1 week early access to upcoming videos. Thanks to our supporters, and thank you for watching.